executive session. You click that link, we'll meet you on the other side, and then when we're done there, we'll come back to this link.
Okay.
Also,
In this meeting, don't leave yourself open.
Yeah, don't have two, if you have two devices, don't leave yourself open. Some people use a laptop and a cell phone or whatever. Just make sure that when you go into executive session, you're on one device.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we're
just
not
on the
gonna-
laptop.
So we're not going to use that link from yesterday at all then?
it's the
Yeah, it's the
same one.
same link.
Okay, it's just a resend. Okay.
Yep, just a resend.
Okay.
And you're all set to start, Dave.
Okay, meeting called to order. Today is Tuesday, July 20th. It is now 6:07 PM. Town council meeting via Zoom. Councilman Licciardi, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Messier, will you lead us in the prayer?
Sure. Well, this is, I think, fitting, considering we're going to go back to in-person meeting soon. This is a passage from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. Stressful, resistant thoughts don't have to be your habitual way of reacting to your world. By practicing thoughts of minimal resistance, you'll eventually become the tranquil person you desire to be. I think we all need that when we go back to meetings. Thank you.
Roll call.
Okay, roll call. Councilman Bourget.
I think he might have left.
All right, Councilman Messier,
Here.
Councilman Licciardi,
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson,
Here.
and Council President Goslin.
Here, Mark did just text me. He's having a connection problem. He said give him a minute, so he'll meet us if we go into executive session. Do I have a motion to move into executive session?
Move to go to executive session.
Second.
Moving second, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Messier? Councilman
Yes.
Bourget is having connection issues, but he'll meet us on the other side. Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
And I vote yes. See you guys on the other side. Just remember, anybody who's on the meeting, remember you're still live, and if you have anything to say that you don't want anybody to hear, I would make sure your mics are on mute. Thank you.
This is Don Willett. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Don.
Okay, thanks. I will hang around till the executive session's over with. Hey, Mel, you know there's a monarch butterfly out here? We still in a holding pattern?
Yeah, Don, they're still in the executive session.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Joe. Joe,
Yes,
you
Al.
there? Joe, some time ago, you told me how to drop out from having the picture. Where do I do that?
Somewhere on the bottom of your computer screen, there should be a thing to mute, and there should be one to turn off your camera or stop video.
It says stop video.
Yep, that's the one that shuts your camera off until the meeting resumes.
Okay, so that shuts the camera off, but I'm still connected.
Yep, you're still connected, and then when they come back on, you can just turn your camera back on. It'll say start video.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Bye.
And I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
Sounds good.
Are we live?
You all live, Jay. David will be back in a few seconds to get things started.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
We'll be back in 2 minutes. The town clerk had to do something real quick.
Sounds good. Dave, you're muted if you were trying to talk.
No, it's actually, I have a couple of members in the chamber, so.
Uh-huh.
And I was just trying to change my view. All right, let me know when everybody's back.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm here.
All set.
All right, back into public session. Councilman Licciardi, want to make a motion to seal the executive session?
Yes. Under 42-46-5, A2 of Rhode Island General Laws, which talked about Local 1104 International Association of Firefighters bargaining, Local 312 International Brotherhood of Police Officers bargaining, and Ernest Levine. I wish to close the executive session that was held tonight, July 20th at 6 p.m.
Second.
Moved in second, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Bourget.
No, I always say no
Councilman-
on those. I think that a lot of it should be known.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay, first order of business will be the consent agenda, approval of the minutes of the June 1st, 2021 special town council meeting, the June 8th, 2021 regular town council meeting, the June 15th, 2021 regular town council meeting, and the July 13th, 2021 special town council meeting.
Move approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Bourget.
I'll say yes. I haven't reviewed them, but with the clerk we have, I'll say yes.
Yeah, you're at a disadvantage tonight. One day as a councilman. Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the business licenses, and before anyone moves for approval, I just wanted to explain, after speaking with Lori today, she would like to remove business license 06, which is approval for a Class F liquor license. She no longer would like the liquor license portion of that. And also for, hopefully I got this right, the approval of the amplifier loudspeaker license for the West Warwick Summer Concert Series or Concert Cruise Night tomorrow. She would like to add a rain date of August 4th to that, just in case.
I have a question on that.
Hold on,
Um,
hold on, Councilman Licciardi. So we have business licenses. I need a motion to move, and then in a second, then we'll go into discussion.
I'll make a
I'll make a
motion to
motion to move.
approve. Okay.
Moved and seconded by,
So I lost connection for a second. I needed to recuse myself from the licenses. Sorry.
Councilman Messier will be recusing himself, so moved by Councilman Bourget, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Jason Licciardi,
Yes, David Goslin.
you had a
I have
comment
a-
or a question?
I have a question. I just have a question. The cruise night, who is, it said owner's name of Dave Lombari. Who is he putting on the cruise night?
You want me to answer?
Or is it,
Yes.
or is the town?
Laurie?
So Dave was the one that started it. And usually it's down in Arctic, but there were some issues this year. So this is the only concert that we're doing. It's not a concert series, so it's just this concert. So it's just here. The car show portion is his part. I did reach out to Central Bank. I did get the grant for them to pay for the band to come. So it's kind of us together doing it.
I'm
know,
just
it's
looking at
collaborative.
liability, Laura. I don't care who's in charge of it and who does it. All I'm looking at is he's the owner's name. What it comes down to is if something happens that night, is it a town event or is it an event held by a group on town property.
So it's a town event. It's always been a town event.
Okay. So Dave Lombardi really has nothing to do with this.
He's
Correct.
actually in charge of the,
He's the reason why all the cars come, since he's
Yeah.
the member of the car.
the Hot Rod Association.
Right, so the Hot Rod Association is putting on the cruise night at the West Warwick Civic Center.
No,
We're working in conjunction with the Hot Rod
Yeah.
Association with
So we're
Dave
working-
Lombardi.
So, Tim, is Tim here?
Go ahead, Jason.
Tim, do you know where my question is? Do you know my thought process with this?
If it's not a private event, you don't have to worry about the issue of their insurance or any of those mitigating factors because it's a town event. So this would be, any liability would be on the town.
Okay.
So this
That's my
is a
only question.
situation where this happened, this used to take place in Arctic. Is that correct? And now it's just a move of location up to the Civic Center. Am I mistaken in that?
no, you're correct.
Okay.
And hopefully
and-
back
and
in Arctic next year.
Yeah, and then the only other difference is that typically there's like, I don't know, what, seven or eight probably per year.
Correct.
And then this year there's only just this one event.
Any other questions? And again, 06 has been moved out of licenses. And one would,
02.
number 2 would be rain date of August 4th. Does anybody have any issues or concerns with that? Any public comment on the business licenses? Seeing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yeah.
Councilman Messier recused himself, Councilman Bourget,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So for the record, and because I do have a couple of members, public here, the carnival permit for the Portuguese Holy Ghost has been approved. The parade permit for the Portuguese American Sports Club has been approved. And the parade permit for the Portuguese Holy Ghost Society has been approved. And all renewable filling station licenses have been approved. All holiday licenses have been approved. Flea market license, laundry licenses, pedal and hawkers license for booth quality catering. And then also the approval for the carnival permit for I Love America Days, the fireworks permit for I Love America Days, and the amplifier loudspeaker license for the American Citizens Club, West Warwick Summer Concert Cruise Night, and Holy Ghost Society. So all amplifier loudspeaker permits have been approved also.
All right. Appointment of James Mayen to the Sewer Use Board of Review for term ending October 2023.
Move appointment of Jay Mayen.
I have a motion and a second. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, I just want to go back real quick. I just want to announce the Portuguese Holy Ghost Society, the parade is not the usual parade. It's actually going from the Portuguese Holy Ghost Society to St. Anthony's Church, and from St. Anthony's Church back to the Holy Ghost Society. That is it for the parade this year on Sunday. And is there any parade on Monday? No parade on Monday. And then the American Sports Club, that is the night parade, and that will be held as usual. I just want to make that public announcement so people can understand and not be surprised on Labor Day weekend. It's disappointing, but we'll go from there. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good night, Dominic. I apologize for that. We did have two clubs here live tonight because they didn't have access to via Zoom. So they came here to council chambers. So we have a motion on the floor to appoint James Mayan for the Sewer Use Board and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
Sorry, Dave, I was muted. I don't know. I've never even heard this name before. So I'm gonna have no conversation as far as Mr. Mayan goes. Did that come over?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
reading. I'm sorry, I got a question. Agenda was not available on state website. No one could see them right now. We'll bring that up later. So I have a motion second. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a.
Actually, may I, David, going along with what Mark just said, I'm not sure where this application came from. I do know we have desperate need to have people on the sewer use board of review. I'm not sure. Does anyone else on the council? Is this a gentleman we should talk to? I don't know him. I don't know him either.
I don't either, but I know, and Mary Beth, you just hit it on the head. We have, I believe, one person on this board. So if somebody puts a claim in, what we've done in the past is we've had to wait till we had I believe it's at least two. And we waited months and months and months, many months, to be in order to hear somebody's appeal. And this is the only board that can hear that appeal.
And well,
So
I don't know him. I agree with you.
I don't know him either. I don't know him from Adam, but at this point, I would say give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, we go from there. But if people are going to be putting in claims, we need to do something. And nobody's banging down the doors to serve on the board.
But do we know what his qualifications are at all? I mean, does he know anything about how to even handle a claim?
No, although his educational background, based on the application, is quite significant. University of Central Florida, BSBA. He has a JD from William Mitchell College of Law in '81, LLM from Judge Advocate General School in Virginia in 1990. So he has some law back. I assume he has the ability to handle a claim based on his educational background, but
I didn't see
we
that.
are in desperate. Yeah, we are in desperate need. If you click on the link, Mark,
Yeah.
it
I looked
actually
at it
shows
before.
up.
I didn't see that in there. I'm going to look again right now. With all the T-Mobile stuff that pops up.
He was with the Marine Corps from '82 to 2003. Norwalk Public Schools from 2003 2004. Fall River Public Schools 2005 to 2021. Junior ROTC instructor. I mean, he has a significant military and legal background. So,
okay,
we're not just pulling somebody off the street. And again, the desperation to serve on this board is just we've gone I don't know how many months without an application.
exactly right.
again, we don't have people knocking down doors for these positions, and I don't have a problem with the background. The background check was done. You know, I'd say give them a chance, and if, you know, you guys, Mary Beth and Jason, you work very close with the sewer department anyway, so if there's any issues, they'll bring it up to you.
I'm sure that's true. I think they will be, find it welcome relief to have somebody else on the board.
Yeah, I still can't find his information. I'm still scrolling through all the tower stuff. I didn't see it before. That's why I didn't know anything about him.
So if you actually go on the town website and go to the minutes, the meeting and agendas, you can click on that and the links are right in there. And I'm sorry, Mark, that's hard to do. I know.
Any other
Actually,
questions?
Sarah's going to make that a little easier for us to do in the future, right?
Yeah, because it's under town government, then under meetings. and then
Exactly. You
under
got to click
browse
a million times to get there.
to get there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the website is definitely on my to-do list.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'll just take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Bourget,
Abstain?
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay, unfinished business, street abandonment for a portion of Crudale Drive, and I believe Attorney Cronin is in, under the attendees.
He already has his hand up. Mr. Cronin, your hand's up. Just unmute and just, I know we have a new council member here, Councilman Bourget. It is his ward, so he's definitely going to want to know what's going on up there. And Joe, I know you had the.
I do have the map available when Tom's ready for it.
All right, and I think some of the open questions last time, and Tom, I'm sure you'll have the answers for us, along with Sal Sicoccio, was the valuation of the land. You know, is it buildable? Was it not buildable? So on and so forth. So Tom, you want to go first?
Thank you, Mr. President. Tom Cronin for the applicant, Arpin Associates. As Mr. Goslin said, it's been a little while since I've been before the board, since June 8th, so I'll start at the beginning. This is a continued hearing on a street abandonment request for a portion of Crudale Drive in the West Warwick Business Park. I was introduced to the council on April 20th, 2021. Notice was sent to the abutters and then advertised in the Kent County Times in May and June. On June 8th, I appeared before the council. We had a discussion about the not only the abandonment, but the fact that the town owns the adjacent lot. The council asked me to find some answers, but before I get to the answers, I'll lay the groundwork so everyone is up to speed. The portion of Crudale Drive to be abandoned is a paper street in the business park. It is located behind Arpin Van Lines. The abutting owners are Arpin Associates to the south at 99 James P. Murphy Highway, AP 12-2, Lot 331. The abutting owner to the north is the town of West Warwick, AP 12-2, Lot 7. That lot is 7.46 acres of vacant land. The area to be abandoned is a half acre of land, 372 feet long, 60 feet wide. The area to be abandoned begins at the westerly end of Energy Way to the east and ends at the property line between Lot 7 and AP 12, Lot 476 to the west, which is a wooded wetland. The paper street does not connect Energy Way in the developed portion of Crudale Drive, which is off LaCroix in the business park. Joe's just put up my survey. And if you looked at the survey, the way it's set up on the right-hand side to the west, that's where that wooded wetland cuts across the property. And that's why Crudale Drive has not been developed. It's never been used as a public street. The northern 50% will be added to Lot 7, owned by the town of West Warwick, and the southern 50% to Lot 331, owned by Arpin Associates. We had made a petition in the alternative to claim the entire 60 feet, but Mr. Williamson has advised that we'll have to wait until an application to the next financial town meeting. So tonight, we're just looking for the abandonment to Arpin Associates of the 30 feet on the southern axis of the abandoned portion of Crudale Drive. The council asked for certain information to be developed. I worked with Mr. Carullo and Sal in the tax office and developed some information. The first piece of information requested by the town is shown on the map in front of you. If you look to the eastern edge of the proposed abandonment where it says Energy Way limits of town pavement, the first question asked by the town was how much land would be left as frontage for Lot 7? And the answer is 90 feet of frontage. We had the surveyor go back out, take a measurement, and there's 90 feet between the boundary of Lot 339 and the beginning of the abandonment. The minimum frontage was another question. The minimum frontage in the business park is 50 feet where sewer and water are available, as is the case here, and 80 feet where sewer and water is not available. So there's an acceptable amount of frontage left on Lot 7, should there be some future use proposed. In terms of the future use, more than 50% of the land area of Lot 7 is a recognized wetland with a stream running through it. In taking into account the area of the wetland, in addition to the wetland buffers required by the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, as well as the building setbacks required in the business park by the West Warwick zoning ordinance, you're left with little to no developable land on Lot 7. It's certainly not for any kind of commercial use. And the last thing that the council asked was how the town of West Warwick came into ownership of Lot 7. And Mr. Scotia did some research and identified a deed on March 29, 2006, a final decree in a tax lien case foreclosing the right of redemption from a 2000 tax sale. So the town of West Warwick has had control of this property since 2000 tax sale, became the formal owner after a tax title redemption foreclosure in the Superior Court in 2006. So that's a brief overview. I hope I've addressed the points that the council brought up, questions that they wanted identified and responded to. But that's where we stand right now. I'll answer any questions the council might have regarding the new information or how we should move forward. Thanks.
Any comment from the council?
I had a hard time hearing them. What is the ultimate purpose of this easement, this piece of abandoned street?
The land, I apologize. I have my microphone on, but the land would be added to Lot 331, which is a warehouse associated with Arpin Associates that is undergoing a minor subdivision through the planning and zoning process in the town of West Warwick. It would be added to that land for use with the warehouse.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Cronin, you talked about, I think Solicitor Williamson said that it would have to go before the voters if we were to abandon the entire street. And maybe could someone refresh my memory about that conversation? And Tim, whether that's you or Tom?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, anytime an asset gets transferred from the town through a purchase and sales agreement, specifically land, that has to be approved at the financial town meeting. The
And
last
so
time
why
the
does-
town, I'm sorry.
Why would this 30 feet not have to be approved then?
Well, we've got a paper street. That's the distinction between the paper street that's marked as Crudale Drive versus actually lot 7. Lot 7 would have to be conveyed via the financial town meeting. Crudale Drive is going to be abandoned if the council approves it. It's just a distinction between the paper street and the property.
And the abandonment typically would be half goes to one owner and half to the other? That's
Yes.
about that. Yeah, okay, so that is,
Yes.
and is that just normal course of business? Is that
Al
West
could
Warwick? Is
probably-
that,
No, that's everywhere. Al could probably amplify that on that issue, but normally when the street does get abandoned, again, so we don't have distinct and separate parties trying to battle over whatever land that may be there. It's been pretty much set in stone that it gets divided between the two property owners to either side of it.
It's state
Again,
law.
Al could probably amplify a little bit on that.
I think, Tim, from the map you're looking at, if you start at Energy Way and you draw a line heading east down the middle of that Crudale Drive, and just think of it as the fact that the north half becomes town property, the south half becomes Oppen property, and it's there. If there were to be further development, then there may have to be further action to notice of other people in the park. But at this point in time, it's just a split that down the middle and attach half of it to lot 7 and half of it to lot 331.
and any abandonment typically would happen? And so that's
That no matter where it
50-50
is.
split. Okay,
Yeah, if you split Wakefield Street, you're gonna get half of it and your
Yep,
mother's gonna get
okay.
the other half.
okay.
State law prescribes how it's done. That's why it goes half and half.
Okay. Thank you.
So if this is done, then this would go on ARPA's tax roll, correct?
That's correct.
Yes,
And they'll be able to utilize that as part of their land.
That's
Yes,
right.
correct.
It's a immediately next to the rear of the warehouse. So that's what it'd be used for, access to the warehouse.
Will they
So-
be able
so
to put
it's-
any structures on that land?
It's got to be
Well,
subject to the same planning, zoning, and building rules as any other property. So if it's in the setback, they would probably have to go before planning to see whether or not any type of relief could be granted. But again, I think Al might be able to.
Realistically, Jason, no, because they'd never be able to meet setbacks. That what they have come forward with is already gone through. I know preliminary with planning. I know zoning approval, master plan with planning, zoning approval. I don't think they've gone through preliminary with planning, but they're well on their way to a proposal that does not include that master plan. It's just, it makes it makes their subdivision a better project.
I guess, Jason, that's the point that I would agree. So there's no way we can abandon the whole thing. If it gets put on it's not helping us and we can't build on it because it's wetlands. If we abandon the whole thing, and I think you're saying we can't, the whole thing goes on the tax rolls and we wind up with more tax dollars. I guess that was my thinking.
I'm not sure I followed you on that, but
Well-
if you abandon Crudale Street.
Yeah.
The northern half of Crudale Street will become town property, increase the area of lot 7. The southern half will become Oppen property and increase the size of lot 331.
Correct. And so, but it goes on the tax rolls on 331, they will pay taxes on it.
Yes.
If we abandon the whole thing because we can't use it anyway, you would assume the
You
tax
can't,
dollars coming in. Okay, so you can't,
abandon the whole thing.
okay. Thank you. That was the question.
Yeah.
So to follow up on that, I understand what you're saying, half and half. The next step would be if ARPA may choose to say, yes, in the future, we'd like to buy that. That's when it would go before the financial town meeting,
That's correct.
correct?
That's, as far as lot 7 is concerned, yes.
So what do, it's town property right now, some of it. What has there been any discussion about the town doing something, anything on that land? Or
Where
utilize
that land is, I can't even imagine what the town would be able to do there.
I would
It's-
assume with wetland problems in the stream, and it's probably not buildable at the time right now, and I don't think it might be buildable in the near future. It hasn't been buildable in the last 40 years. So it's just a piece of property that the town took as a result of the litigation regarding the tax sale. So if in fact ARPA wanted to purchase additional property or carve out, subdivide part of lot 7, that would then go before the voter at the financial town meeting.
So I guess I hope we didn't spend a lot of money in the process of acquiring it through the
Well,
tax sale.
we probably didn't get paid a lot of money. That's what it is.
We got paid nothing, I'm sure. We paid
But-
attorneys things.
But
Yes.
the other question I have, and I'm looking at the timing of this, was the town looking at it and everybody knows what was originally supposed to go up there in the 2005, 2006, 2007 campaigns was the casino. So is that one of the reasons why the town may have obtained the property on the
Maybe,
tax sale?
Yeah.
And again, that's before my time, so, I can't answer that, but I'm just throwing that out there. It could have been one of the reasons. Any other questions or comments from the council? Joe, if you can get rid of the map, because I can't see if there's anybody raising it here. There you go. Thank you.
So it wasn't just me. I'm like, how do I get rid of this thing?
No. Any
No,
other
that's
comments
my
from the
fault.
council? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Bourget,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
I
Did
thank
we
the
actually
council.
move that? Did we actually move the resolution, Sarah? No, I didn't think so. So I moved the resolution.
Okay, we went into all that discussion for nothing.
Yes. I
I'll
moved the
second.
resolution.
Moved and seconded. We've had all that discussion. Any further discussion? I'll take another roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Bourget,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Cronin. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Okay, new business, appointment of the West Warwick Police Chief and authorization to execute employment agreement.
I moved the resolution.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
Obviously, we had discussion in executive session. I I wholly support Major Levine becoming the new police chief. I think he helps to solidify a team that's in place that is actually very strong at this point in time. And I look forward to him taking on the role.
Council President, if you like, I can facilitate that by a Cliff Note version of the memo that I sent to you folks.
I didn't get a second yet.
I seconded.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
you had 2 seconds. I think me and Mark talked at the same time.
All right. And Mark, go ahead, give your Cliff Notes and then I'll let the council speak.
Certainly a paraphrased portion of the memo that I sent that It's an honor to recommend Major Ernest Levine as the town of West Warwick's next chief of police. It's been a privilege to serve alongside Major Levine for the past 27 years, and I firmly believe that he's the right choice to be my successor. We have a strong professional relationship that would be beneficial in our continuing partnership to enhance the excellent work being done every day by the men and women of our police department. As a longtime supervisor, administrator, and union leader, Major Levine understands and has excelled in creating the proper balance of respectfully leading people and managing an organization. Although these functions sometimes appear to be in conflict, Major Levine treats everyone with dignity and respect, listens to the involved people, and contemplates the outcomes before making the best decisions based on safety, well-being, and the good of the organization. Major Levine is a dedicated husband and a father with strong family values. He resides in nearby Coventry with his wife and 2 children. He's active in his children's sports organizations and their community. Major Levine has a master's degree in criminal justice studies and has attended several executive development courses. He is respected by his peers, both internally and within the state of Rhode Island. And finally, Major Levine has ascended through the ranks of our department and has served honorably in all divisions and units. With your approval, I fully support Major Levine's promotion to the rank of colonel and look forward to working with him and his team in providing exceptional public safety service to our citizens and visitors.
And with that, and thank you, Mark. And with that being said, Major Levine has worked very close with yourself, the town council, and his staff over the last 10 months as interim chief. I am, and I know most of us are proponents of hiring from within, and it's great to have somebody from within. It's always a good morale boost, gives people opportunity and career opportunities and reasons to stay with our police department. And, Ernie's always been a very professional guy. Even when I first came on, right before in 2005, I know I was sitting in the crowd here and saw this scruffy guy who was like an undercover narcotics person who I couldn't tell who he was. And I actually thought he was just somebody off the street, relaxing in here and trying to get some out of the weather or whatever. But, he's always been professional, always been courteous. Even during disagreements, he's always been, very professional. And I think it's an honor to have him here. And one of the reasons why I feel, and I think majority of the council feel, not going out and advertising for a police chief, because we have somebody very qualified here and to do the job. And it also saves, money for not advertising, saves HR resources, so we're not interviewing, including Mark Knott. And also, like I said, we all know Ernie very well. I think I think the last 10 months was his interview, and I think he earned this position, and I'm hoping he'll serve us well over the next 10 years. And then we'll go from there. Anybody else from the council?
Yes, I'm glad it's a 10-year term. It's kidding. I'm just going to say publicly, Ernie, you were my guy as soon as this came up. I think the dealings that we've had, or you've had with the council, and the communication, which I've said before, is excellent, and that's what we're looking for from all department heads, is this type of communication. And I'd like to welcome you as the chief.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate everything you guys have said, and also it's a slam dunk. I think it's an easy decision. He's done an incredible job in the almost year that he's been in the interim position. So I think it's it's about time that we move forward with this. So congratulations, well, in advance, congratulations in a couple of minutes.
Mary Beth, you saying anything?
I jumped the gun. I thought everybody had, yes, so I jumped the gun. Yes, he's clearly the guy, no doubt about it. I'm excited about the team and looking forward to working with Ernie for a long time.
I just didn't want to jump the gun. I'm still a seniority type person, you know, and I'm new here, so.
Oh, no, that's all right.
Well, you got 2 years, you got 2 years in the ranks from.
That's
before.
true.
But I'm still junior to her, I believe,
Still
so, you
junior,
know.
yeah.
It's
but,
close. I don't know, it's
Um,
close, yeah.
You know, Major, you and I have had minimal contact over the years, so I don't have the experience the other council people have. But the little bit of contact we have, you've always been very professional. I've always appreciated that. But I also know your reputation around the state, and to me, that is very important in this decision as well. So I'll welcome you a little early myself.
Any other comments? So I have a motion for Major Levine to Colonel Levine, and I had a second. I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Bourget,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes,
and I vote yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Colonel.
thank you, yeah.
We talked about this in executive session, but maybe we can swear him in officially in our first in-person meeting, maybe if things go the right way in the next couple weeks.
Thank you. I just take 30 seconds.
Sure.
First of all, I would like to take this moment to thank the town manager and the members of the town council for your trust and confidence in me to continue to lead the members of the West Warwick Police Department. I would also like to thank members of the West Warwick Police Department, both sworn and civilian, for the tremendous work that they do each and every day, especially during this most difficult last year and a half. Finally, and personally most importantly, I would like to thank my wife, Steve, and my children, Mallory and Luke, for their unwavering support. Thank you very much. Really appreciate this opportunity.
Excited
Thank
to
you.
have you aboard, Colonel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the town of West Warwick and the local 1104 International Association of Firefighters.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion?
My concern is what we discussed in the executive session is my limited knowledge of the history of this contract as well as the past few contracts. So I'm going to put a request in that we table this for tonight, and so I have a chance to get up to date. So I make a motion to table.
I'm going to second that. And the reason being is if I was in, Councilman Bourget was just sworn in. He doesn't have all the knowledge, and he had a lot of questions leading to what took place prior to these contracts. So I think it's just a professional courtesy to a fellow councilman to let him get his answers and be able to make a decision. I would want that done for me, and I would give that to anybody else on the council.
I have a motion and second to table. Any other discussion before I take a vote on tabling?
I'm not sure procedurally that's correct, and I'll defer to the town clerk because there was a motion and a second to actually approve the resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that's correct, is you would have to withdraw your motion in order for them to motion to table. Tim might be able to help me out with that one.
No, you're correct. One motion on the floor at a time. So the only motion before the council was the first motion, which is a motion to pass the resolution. The only way that would go away is if the council vice president would withdraw that motion, so the motion to table could be heard first.
I'm reluctant to do that. We did have extensive discussions. Timing is, and I, as I said in executive session, I don't envy Mark Bourget's position. He's only been a council person for 24 hours, 36 hours, maybe. I'm not sure exactly.
Maybe
when you were
36,
sworn.
yeah.
Maybe 36. That being said, these contracts have been worked on for some time. There is some timing around some things, including the MERS legislation, and tabling it till August 17th, I believe poses a problem with some of that timing. So
what if we don't table it till August 17th and we table it to another? I'm just thinking, either way, I know what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say. I'm just thinking, give the guy time to look at some things, you know? Doesn't have to be August 17th. It can be August 1st. We can pick a day for a special meeting. You know, if the timeliness is going to be a factor, you know, but
timeliness is
where it's like we want to vote on something, we don't know enough about it, so at that point, I'm voting on something I don't know anything about. It's different. We just voted somebody on the sewer appeals board, which we don't know, but that's a little bit different than we're taking a shot with this person versus voting on something that's going to be here forever, you know?
So again, I don't know what people's schedules are, but again, tabling it till August 17th would put the legislation that we worked so hard to get through the State House in jeopardy. That's the reality. So.
Yeah, I shared my feelings earlier. I understand Mark's position. I personally, if I was on the council for one day, I would not vote on that. And, you know, and I feel for him if he doesn't vote on it. And I understand why he wouldn't vote on it. But again, you know, realistically, we could have voted on this 2 weeks ago and it would have been fair enough to Mark also. So I don't think this hurts or helps Mark in any way, shape, or form if we voted here tonight. And again, you know, I understand, and I'm not sure if it would make any difference on even if, and I'm just going to say, if he voted no today, you know, it's you know, this is, the contract has been worked on, brought before us as council. Couple of times we brought our concerns back. We may not have agreed a couple of things, and you know, I know they went back to the table on a couple of items. And you know, again, I think the MERS legislation is the most important part out of all this right now. If that was not in play, I would agree with everybody wholeheartedly.
And Mark, if I were in your position, I would be uncomfortable. I would feel that I would probably have to abstain because I wouldn't have enough knowledge of the issues.
And like I said earlier, you know, I feel like that's a coward's way out. That's why I'd rather take the time to have all the information and make an informed vote. But you know, I'm not going to make an uninformed vote. Let's put it that way.
And that's the right answer. I agree with you. You should never make an uninformed vote. None of us should. I agree with that.
Is there any other comment? Because if there's no other comment, I'll take because if Councilwoman Williamson is not retracting her movement, then I have to take a vote.
Let me ask. So again, with no other date on the calendar, I can't ask to, or I won't retract it if it's till August 17th. I can't. So I don't know what other conversation.
My question would be, I can do next Tuesday.
Well, I don't know how fast I'm going to get the information
Exactly.
I need in order. And that's the dilemma I'm in. Is, you know,
That's correct.
There's a lot of information out there that I, one, have to obtain, and then two, I have to digest. And it's going to be very difficult for me to do both in a week. Especially
I think it's
a lot of hours.
I totally see both sides. I think it's just unfortunate timing with, I mean, obviously came in the middle of this, you know, in the middle, and even in the middle of a term, I think. But I agree with Councilwoman Williamson that, you know, the timing is an issue. You know, it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, we have to make the best decision for, and this is no offense to you, Mark, because we have to make the best decision for the town right now. You know, so if it's time sensitive, again, if it was something where the decision didn't need to be made, till the end of October, then I could see the difference, but
Any other comment? I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
What are we voting on?
the contract,
We're voting on,
approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the town of West Warwick and the local 1104 International Association of Firefighters.
I'm going to vote. Can I speak too?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to vote yes. However, I'm very concerned about the last increase, which happens in January of 2023, which will go into the 2024 budget. I think I'm being very conservative about it. As long as our finance director, who has been organizing this, is saying that we're going to have money going forward, and we're not going to have a 4% tax increase, which is the most, then I'm fine with it. And that's the gist that I'm getting. I just want to make sure that's correct.
Understood. Councilman Messier,
yes.
Councilman Bourget,
Abstain?
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes,
and I vote yes.
Mark, I apologize.
I completely understand on aspects, and then I know you guys all understand. You've all expressed it numerous times here and then the last meeting. So just that, for me, I can't say yes or no to something when I have no idea what I'm voting on.
And I respect
Totally
that
understand.
decision. That's the absolute right decision. I absolutely respect you for making that decision.
Thank you.
Okay, approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the town of West Warwick and the local 312 International Brotherhood of Police Officers.
Move the resolution.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'm sure we just discussed fire. It's probably all the same discussion.
Same thing for me as last discussion.
Yeah.
Hearing no other discussion, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi. Councilman
I'm going to
Licciardi,
vote. I'm going to vote yes. It's going to be the same verbiage I gave for the fire. So
Councilman Messier,
yes.
Councilman Bourget,
Abstain?
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay, authorization for the sale of surplus vehicles on govdeals.com.
Move the resolution, or it's not even a resolution, is it, Sarah? Maybe it is. No, just approval
just
for Mark to
authorization.
do it. Yeah. And didn't we do this? Didn't we, I mean, we approved him using, the town moving to this particular website, but maybe we have to make some changes to some other statutes, ordinances, and/or as to
Right,
how we
so-
dispose of it.
So a couple months ago, we did approve the use of GovDeals to be more efficient and get a better, what we expect to be a better return. The purchasing ordinance still requires presentation to the council for approval to sell anything. So I have a draft on amending that ordinance moving forward. At some point, we just need to work out the language on some checks and balances. But while I do that, I don't want to occupy a significant amount of space for these 11 vehicles in the memo that I think we can move forward and sell under the new provision. So for at least this time, we're seeking council approval to do it. And in the future, I'll present an amended ordinance that will propose shifting to a different checks and balance system.
And can you remind me, do we get a report as to who buys this and what price it goes for? And do we have any authority to say, well, wait a minute, we're not going to sell it to Mark Knott's sister for $3?
We set a minimum that we'll sell it for, and then it's a kind of an open public auction on the GovDeal website. As I mentioned, there's at least a dozen municipalities and the state that use it. And it's been very successful from what we've heard from them, and significantly more efficient than the way we've done it in the past.
But we do get a report once the auction's done, finalized?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we will be able to see that and publish that and see who.
Yeah, we can see how often we do it and make a determination how often, whether
Okay.
that's something that we'll present quarterly on what's happened, or I suspect with being more efficient, instead of saving things and doing 1 or 2 a year, this will be a much better system. So quarterly will probably work.
One other question I had is highway, the big dump trucks, highway 2, 3, and 4. I assume they weren't in service this past winter. Are those, am I assuming incorrectly? I don't know the answer to that. My concern being, are we going to? Yeah. Hi, Don.
No, that's correct. I'm sorry, that's correct. Those 3 vehicles were not in service. The frames are completely rusted through.
Okay. And I assume we pick any parts off that we might want before we put it out to bid.
Yes.
Okay. So there is no resolution. Does that require a vote on our part, Sarah? Yes, it does. David actually had to step away for a moment. So does anybody have any other? Oh, there you are, back again.
Got the
Okay, you're up.
plug.
So
So I don't think there's any resolution that needs to be, we just need to authorize, is that correct?
It's just a discussion action.
Any other questions from the council on that? I'll just take a roll call vote for authorization. Councilman Licciardi?
Yes.
Councilman Messier?
Yes.
Councilman Bourget? You're muted. Don, you want to play ground?
Mark, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
All right, authorization for the town planner to access the remaining bond funds to enable the paving of Countryside Way, sponsored by Council Vice President Williamson.
So, and I will let Al speak. I know he and Mark have had some conversations. This is actually a small development.
Let's make a motion in a second.
Oh, it is a resolution. Yes, I'm sorry. I'll move the resolution.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, Mary Beth?
Yep, this is a small development off of Burlingame Road. It was years ago called Eva Court. There were some issues, and it's been around for a long time because I remember being discussed in this house all those many years ago. So there were issues about not having the right turning radius, so trucks couldn't get in there. There were all sorts of things and complications. There actually are houses that have been built on Countryside Way now. And it was brought to our attention, I guess, that there's some money left over, a bond that's left over, and we want to just acquire it because it does need to be paved. There is actually also a utility line going across Burlingame Road that needs to be repaired. The DPW has been out and sort of temporarily fixed that, but that has to be taken care of as well. So, Al, I think you have some more details, maybe.
Yeah, I guess I inherited this because I was the only one around when it started. This began back in 2004. Plans were submitted for a subdivision called Eva Court. As it was going through the planning board process, we received information from Bob Boyer that the survey as submitted for the plat that was wanted to be recorded, Bob Boyer claimed it was in the wrong place, that based on his previous surveys, this plat was not where it should be. We spent many meetings going back and forth, and finally, out of desperation, the planning board ordered the developer to pay for a independent survey. That independent surveyor came in and he found that Bob Boyer was correct, that the original plan was not where it was supposed to be. So new plans were submitted and they got recorded. Subsequent to that, as Mary Beth pointed out, there were turnaround problems. There was, I want to say, some pipe drainage pipes that got cracked, and it was a headache from 2004 on. Finally, in 2014, after the corrected plat had been recorded, the planning board, instead of having a bond, they got a cash surety filed with Citizens Bank for approximately $45,000. The construction began, and in 2016, the planning board recommended to the town council the authorized release of $35,220 for the work that had been completed. On August 5th of 2016, on April 5th of 2016, the town council passed a resolution authorizing the release of that fund of $35,220 and the retention. The release says, the resolution says $9,840, consisting of paving and of the related countryside estates. In June 7 of this year, the planning board authorized the release of the balance, which is now $9,761.01. That's what's before the council tonight. The thing that is left is the paving of the final paving of the street. The town planner had been dealing with the developer over a period of time. There had been several bankruptcies in this matter. Unfortunately, the gentleman with whom the town planner had been dealing passed away. So now we've got this money left, and we've got the final paving to be done. It was, the town planner suggested holding off until the final construction was done, so we wouldn't have trucks going in and out of there. That, as I understand it, the last home is almost complete, and the town planner and the planning board recommend, and they've discussed it with Don, putting this money in the paving bond account and add it for the final paving. I understand Don is in agreement with that. So at the time of completion, in Don's schedule, this money will be put into the pot and used for the final paving of countryside estates.
So just, and I wasn't sure when I read the memo originally, so this money is not, it's being taken over by the town. It's released to the town to finish it up, whereas the previous release was actually back to the developer all those years ago. So I guess, Don, my question to you would be, where would that be on the schedule? They are finishing up, I think, the last house. You can see where manhole covers are up, curbing that's in is much higher than it would normally be. So when you say put it in the bond money, road bond money, is it along that schedule, or will we take care of this before that?
Councilman, while he unmutes, I would suspect that that's probably financially muddying the waters. So it wouldn't necessarily get attached to anything to do with the bond. We deposit it in the appropriate account, and if it happens to get done by companies engaged in that, then I'm sure we can figure that out. But the money won't.
Okay,
The
I
money
don't
won't
want to
get muddied with road bond money.
Okay, and I didn't want to necessarily have it be muddied with that schedule. I don't know when Burlingame Road is on the schedule. We've talked a little bit about that, so.
We've got both Countryside Way and Burlingame Road on the schedule. It'll probably be later in the schedule because the gas company does have a little bit of work to complete out there before we can turn around and pave the road up. It's the estimate for Countryside Way is 28,000. That 9,000 will go into that 28,000. Whatever the remaining balance is will come out of the bond.
Okay, so when you say later in the schedule, do you mean next year?
It very well may be next year.
Okay, if that's the case, that cut across on Burlingame needs to be taken care of and improved a little more. I know you had guys out there putting some stuff in it, but that won't last the winter.
No, correct. And Burlingame Road is on the schedule for this year.
Oh, okay. All right, terrific. Thank you.
Hunting around, get my clothes ready for tomorrow, listening to the.
So those funds really need to go into the capital account, where I have the money set aside, the old road bond funds, because what we're doing with RIB is we're not getting money like we have in the past. We'll be submitting invoices and RIB will be paying them. So it's a completely different setup. So what I'd be more comfortable with is it going into the capital fund and allocated with the other road bond funds that I have segregated out by ward.
If I may,
another category.
I think the resolution reads that way. Resolve, the town council authorizes the town planner to withdraw the full amount for the purpose of completing the final code of payment Countryside, the amount to be deposited with the town of West Warwick Finance Department to be used exclusively for completing the final cost of payment for Countryside Way.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
Yes.
Councilman Messier?
Yes.
Councilman Bourget?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Request from National Grid for relocation of pole on Peters Lane.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? This is in my ward and I don't see any issues with it. Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
Yes.
Councilman Messier?
Yes.
Councilman Bourget?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Update on flat top playground structure is requested by Councilman Licciardi.
The reason I put this on the agenda was because it's cautioned off. There have been many questions on social media about it. I've gotten several calls about it. One day it's okay, the next day it's not. So I did read when the trust had come out and they had their check sheet and almost everything, if not everything, failed. I understand that the playground should come down. However, based on previous projects, if this comes down, I'd like something in the process of being put up immediately. It's not a big area at all. We're not talking about anything at all like the Factory Street playground. So, but it took a year and a half for me to get the tower taken down. It took me 4 years to get a sidewalk redone, which took 3 days. So I really don't have the faith that if we take it down, something's going to get put up back up immediately. And Don, I understand your situation. Once we start with the paving and the crews come out, like you said at the last meeting, you're going to be out there as a project manager and an hour of administrative time in the office. So this is something that is going to take someone to be on top of. And I'm wondering who that person's going to be.
I don't have a great answer for you, but I think between Lori and I, we can get something started for a grant for the town. But it is something you'll have to budget for coming into next year.
We have money. No, we have money.
And-
This isn't something we want to wait a year for the grant to come out.
Well,
There's money to have. It's money out there.
okay.
So just, and I don't want to speak for the rest of the council, but I'm sure we can find enough money to make this happen. So,
Okay. I know we were supposed to meet with the Recreation Committee or the Parks Committee yesterday, and they had to cancel. And I know that was the topic.
Yeah. And I wouldn't bank on that, Don. We've tried to meet for, I would say, going on 3 years now, with 4 members on the committee, and now we're down to 3. I'm not on the committee. I'm just a liaison for the council. So we need a 3 for a quorum. So, and this has been a typical thing, especially now with only 3 members, somebody gets called out or can't make it. And now we have a very meaty agenda, I would call it, ready to go. And I wouldn't bank on that happening. So
if you're not after a grant, we can get someone in here to give you a couple of designs, and you can choose the design that you want along with the budget. And we could probably get started on that. I'm going to say October-ish. But we can't leave that structure up. The safety deficiencies are real. That structure was put up 30 years ago when there was a whole different parameter for child safety in playgrounds. I mean, just the fact that you have a concrete pad at the bottom of your 2 slides ought to send up a lot of red flags.
no, and I get it. I'm in the business. I get it. I just don't like timeliness wise. I know how things go, and it's all right. We'll get to it. It'll be this fall. Oh wait, now it'll be next spring. Then it'll lead to next fall, and I don't see that should happen.
Okay. Well, vote on what that you direct me to go ahead and do something on that. And I will turn around and I'll talk with O'Brien and Son and get 3 or 4 age appropriate playgrounds designs, and we'll lay it out for you.
Thanks, Don.
Okay.
Any other comments on?
Just a question on that. Should that be taken down sooner rather than later if it's roped off and it's such a major hazard? So because kids obviously aren't going to pay attention to a piece of caution tape going around it.
It should be taken down immediately.
Maybe we can get working on that. And I agree with Jason. I mean, Board is my ward. My grandkids have played there numerous times. I would like to see the park redone because it is used on a regular basis.
Yep.
From a management perspective, obviously, I think we've learned our lesson. We want to do the right thing by having somebody qualified run the project and properly vet it and make sure the right things are happening. I did ask Don to hold off on tearing it down until I came back from vacation. It was assessed to see if there was possibly anything that could be reused, but in reality, the age of it's just beyond that. So I'm sure his folks will now take care of that with that. As far as getting some designs and prices, I'll coordinate that with Don to make sure we have some options from a variety of vendors, unless there are people on an MTA that do that kind of thing, to make sure that we're following the right fiscal path as well. And as we get closer to getting together to decide what to do with American Rescue Plan funds, I think recreation should be one of the key things that we're looking at because it betters the entire community. So at the appropriate time, once a little more information comes in, we'll get together to make some proposals and decisions on how to move forward with that.
I
Thanks,
think, Mark, I agree. I think that's a great idea. And I agree that we do want to learn from the past and have someone perhaps in a project manager involved in that. And we do have people that have helped us before. We have landscape architects that helped us up at the Factory Street Playground as well. So we'd sort of be remiss if we didn't reach out to them. And who knows, maybe somebody wants to donate some time to us too.
I know when Greenbush Playground was done, it was mostly volunteers that put it up. I know I was there as one of them, and when I lived in Coventry, it was the same thing at Tywood School. That playground was all volunteers putting it up. Obviously, with somebody with expertise there to
Right.
guide us and allow to do it.
So Mark, I think, Mark Knott, we'll leave that in your hands to coordinate that with Don. I don't think we just want to go to O'Brien. They've been terrific with us, but I think we have to perhaps look at all avenues available to us.
Any other discussion? Thank you.
All right, update on the Patuxent Valley Historical Society building project as requested by Councilman Licciardi.
This is something that should be we agreed to have a monthly update. I've been talking with Jerry Tellier each month, and if there has been no update, I just said, Jerry, I'll just let people know. So
Jerry is on. Jerry is on, so I can let him, if he wants to speak, he is unmuted. And he's in the
he should take over at this point.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi, everybody. The update on the Historical Society located at 1679 Main Street, just for everybody's knowledge. Phase 1 is just about complete. We are just lacking handrails on the outside of the building. Other than that, all work for Phase 1 has been completed. All inspections have been done, proper permits and all of that stuff. We had to hold off timing issue for Phase 2. We had applied for another grant. And the good news is, and I think I told Jason, Councilman Licciardi, and I just held off that. I'd just like to announce it tonight to the council that we did receive from the Champlain Foundation a $95,050 grant to complete the finish work in the society.
Oh, that's great.
That is huge. Everything's going according to plans. A couple of little bumps. One is the cost of materials, as everyone knows, is outrageous through the roof. So that put a little damper on us, but we feel we have enough money now to go ahead and get this finished work done. So yesterday, we started the rough in for Phase 2, which is going to be included rough electrical work, rough plumbing work, insulation, and installing the plasterboard, no plastering. So that is in the works as we speak. We're awaiting the updated prices so that we can move forward with the completion of the finish work. My estimated time will probably be somewhere in October, late October, if everything goes right. And that will be completed. Again, I've been in contact with Councilman Licciardi just to keep him abreast of what's going on. We have had basically zero issues with anything going on there. And I'm just happy for the people of West Warwick that we did receive that second grant. And we have had numerous donations from a lot of our members and some businesses and stuff like that. We have a total, I do not have that in front of me at this time, but we had 2 significant donations from 2 of our members, past members, who have passed away. And each of them will does $25,000 to the building fund. So in addition to the $95,000 grant, we have another $50,000, which we could be using for maybe new cabinets or audio visual or whatever we need to complete this project. So again, if there's any questions, if you want to see our finances, we have a recorded log of everything coming in, everything going out. Again, no taxpayer money, and it's a great thing for the community.
Oh, great news, Jerry. Thank you.
Okay.
Does anybody
that's
have
all.
anybody have any questions for Jerry?
No, just commend him for working so hard to get that done, and the Champlin grant's a great thing. And of course, great compliment when former members leave money in their estates and their wills to a cause that they cared about. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I have to compliment Cecilia St. Jean. She's a past president there. She applied for all of the grants, and I mean, her whole heart and soul is into this whole project. She's an incredible person to work with, and we have a whole team. And you know, we bring up like you guys the pros and cons, and we make rational decisions on what we're doing, and it's working out.
So Jerry, with all this extra money coming in, what are you going to build up next?
We're not building up nothing. We gotta complete it.
when do you think ribbon cutting might be, Jerry? Any idea?
No, that's a good. I'm hoping in October, but we'll definitely let you know. And we'd like you guys to stop in and see it. People who have stopped in and walked into the place, it doesn't look that big, but it's a good size on the inside. And again, we'll be able to hold our meetings there. I talked with Councilman Licciardi earlier. Maybe if there's an organization that needs something, we can open it up to them. You know, we'll have to have people there because we have a lot of historical artifacts in there. But yeah, it's all for the people of West Warwick.
Thank you once again, Jerry.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. You have a good night.
Yep.
All right, improvement of T-Mobile antennas on the Factory Street Tower.
Hi,
Is this a resolution?
it is not a resolution, no.
Okay.
So, this is more, they would like to get your approval, according to section 6 of the lease. If they provide us with a stamped, engineered plan, you know, they can go ahead and do it. So pretty much what T-Mobile is looking to do is replace 9 of their antennas with 12 new antennas to improve their service in that area. So
there's been a bunch of work going on up there already. Is this a culmination, or is this completely different from that?
So this is completely different. That was AT&T, and AT&T replaced, and we went through that, and that was a resolution. And they were going to do some improvements to the actual lattice structure. They ended up not doing that. In the negotiations, when they were wanted to do that, they approved paying to replace our police and fire antennas at the top. So that money was given to the town, and work on that is anticipated to begin later on this week to replace both the police and fire primary dispatch antennas. So, but as far as this, the T-Mobile, it's just it's not a one-for-one because actually increasing the number of antennas, but it is just on the same level, and it's not anything different. It's almost a one-for-one exchange.
They certainly provided a lot of information there.
Okay. So,
Any questions for the chief on this? Thank you, chief. Do we need authorization? Is that what you're looking for?
if you take a vote, that would be good.
Councilman LaCharity,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Bourget,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson.
Yes,
I don't like the agreement whatsoever up there, but I'll still vote yes. We're losing a lot of money.
9 years left on it.
How many?
9 years are left. It was signed in 2005. It's a 25-year lease. It'll end in 2030.
I'm gonna let every council member know, whether you're here or not, take that tower back.
Was it wait, was that the year before you got on?
2005, it was right before it was sold for leased for $1.1 million. I personally stood up against it because I knew what the cell phone company was going to be going into, and here we are. And that was when it was like 1G, 2G, and then we went to 4G, and now 5G. And they need more and more towers wherever they can, and there's leasing opportunities and yearly revenue that comes in. There is an expense to maintain it, but yearly revenue. But just remember that in 9 years if you're still here.
You're the one that's still going to be here.
You never know.
well, I think we decided Ernie Levine's going to be here too. I thought we said that earlier, did we not? Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
Ernie, remind whoever the council is when you're still chief.
All right, authorization for the purchase of a new 2022 Ford F-550 4x4 Super Duty Lifeline Type 1 AD Class 1 emergency medical vehicle.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moving second, I had a few questions for the chief. He answered my question. So if anybody, and again, this is coming out of the ambulance fund. And, obviously it's revenue from our ambulance collections. Does anybody have any other questions for the chief?
My question is,
Hold on, Councilman Bourget first.
my question, I have no problem with buying a new rescue. I know how much those things are used. It's just the separate line items in here for the stretcher for almost $22,500. And another $12,000 for radio, and another almost $3,000 for a laptop. Just wondering why those are put in separately, why they weren't put in separately, and why they were lumped into this.
So yeah, so we purchased those. The radios we get installed from our radio installer. The specialty vehicles will do a prep, but they don't install the radios. So we have our own guy do it, do the radios. The power stretcher, again, that's if we buy it from them, they're going to mark it up. So we buy it directly from the dealer that we work with.
The one you have now is that bad where it has to be replaced. I mean, that's almost $23,000 is a huge expense. So
it is a big expense. So right now we do have 2 power stretchers. So this would be the 3rd power stretcher that we would have to use. So we do have manual stretchers, but those it lends to back injuries and, so it saves manpower by having a power stretcher.
How many rescues do you run?
So we run 2 frontline and we have a 3rd rescue that's pretty much ready to go.
In reserve.
All we have to do is get people in and go. Right now, one of our frontline rescues is down. The rescues we had been buying are a type 3 and not a type 1. And the frame that they're built on was a 7-ton frame as opposed to now we're getting a 9-ton frame. So it was really kind of maxed out. So those rescues right now, the one we're replacing is a 2016, and that's the one that's out. We're looking for a rear end for that, and we're having difficulty locating a rear end for that. And we're using a 2015 that we had just replaced with the Ford F550 frame.
Yeah, like I said, I have no problem getting a new rescue. I know how much those things are used, and obviously they're valuable to every person in this town because you never know when you might end up in the back of one. So, I have no problem with that. I'm just wondering why it's all lumped into one resolution instead of separate ones for separate votes.
Just the way I did it, I guess, that I'm looking at the whole expense and trying to figure out what that overhead is going to be, and plan like that.
All of this comes out of the rescue fund. It doesn't come out of the general fund.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Basically, what you're saying, I think, is that you buy sort of a stripped down model and then you outfit it with the things that we need, and we don't let them mark it up. We go directly to whoever we buy them from.
Right.
Okay. And to get it to the specifications that we want it to be at. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're doing a lease.
I was just wondering why, because it's titled just rescue, and then you scroll down, you see the 3 other
Right.
expenses. It's like, and it's not like it's only an extra $5,000. It's an extra $35,000.
Yeah. And
No,
so we didn't buy, the last rescue that we bought, we also had to get a life pack because we transitioning from the 12s to the 15s, and the 12s were no longer serviced by the manufacturer. So, and that was another like 30. So the last one that we had to buy was about $340,000 as opposed to 315.
Right.
So,
okay. Like I said, I'm just curious as to why that stuff was in there the way it was. And if it's all coming out of the rescue fund, that's what it's there for anyway.
So,
and I'm actually, and Mark, I think you were on site with me, Jim Thomas and Councilman Giroux back when we did the tour down in South Kingston where they dressed us up. And
that was my idea. Well, it was actually Bill Leahy's idea, but it came off because I recommended to the council before you vote on a police contract, you should all throw a vest on and go for a couple ride-alongs so you see what the police actually do. And Bill Leahy said, put your money where your mouth is and come up to the academy with us. And so we all went up there.
You almost killed Jim Thomas. But but with that being said, one of the things, and Mark, that's why I brought it up, was, unless you're out there using this equipment or seeing how it's being used, that's when you decide to vote on it. And this stretcher, I will say, I personally witnessed a larger person being picked up without that stretcher and actually dropped, and also four firefighters putting that person into the ambulance. So that's when, I was definitely sold on that stretcher, just because not only just for the safety of our firefighters, but also the safety of the patient. So it was definitely a great asset.
And that stretcher also goes up to 600 pounds. We did have to buy a larger bariatric stretcher that has a weight capacity up to, I think it's just about 1,000 pounds. That's manual, so that's not a motorized one. We have to make sure we have enough manpower on scene to do that.
Yeah, believe me, Dave, I've helped and seen the firemen move very large people from second floors, third floors, in chairs, stretchers, just putting them on a sheet because it's the only way you can make a corner. So I understand all that. My concern was just that it's separate line items under the same resolution. It should be, to me, a separate votes. That's my opinion.
All right. Any other questions?
I have one. I won't prolong it. Chief, what do we have left in the account after this expense?
So, well, we will be doing this over a 4-year lease. It won't just come out completely all at once. Okay. So right now there's about close to $500,000 in there. Last year, so we're working, we've been putting about 200,000 into it and spending about 250,000. So we still have 1 year left to pay on engine 4, which is about $111,000. Once that's done, hopefully, we need to buy a ladder truck at some point in the future. So we're hoping to increase the revenue. This year we're at 17% of what is taken in. Next year it'll be 17.5, and that's going up by 0.5%. But right now there's about $500,000 in that account, and we're overspending by about $50,000 a year. So it'd be about 10 years left at that rate, but it's not going to stay at that rate, that loss.
Thanks.
It's not an easy thing to kind of explain in that,
No, I understand I understand.
So. All right.
Any other comment? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Bourget,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you.
Upcoming appointments. The Sewer Use Board of Review has one alternate member vacancy with a term to expire October 2021, and now only one vacancy with a term to expire 10/2023. We still have 2 vacancies on the Pension Committee with terms expiring November 18th, 2022 and November 18th, 2021, and 2 vacancies now on the Recreation Committee. We also need a tree warden. Moving on to public forum. To participate, use the raise hand icon at the bottom right of your screen, or if you're using a phone, press *9. The moderator will tell you when it's your turn to speak. Comments during public forum will only be heard and not acted upon by the Town Council. Section 42-46-6 of the Open Meetings Act, the Department of the Attorney General advisory opinions relevant to this item on any public body meeting agenda specifically prohibits the Town Council from discussing, considering, or acting on any topic, statement, or question presented. The Town Council may, if warranted, refer such matters to an appropriate committee, to another body or official, or post the matter for consideration on a properly noticed future meeting.
You're on mute, David.
I do have one hand up in the audience. Looks like Mary, I'm allowed to talk. Mary, just state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Mary Aslin. I'm at 90 Lonsdale Street. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I just had a question because I know Lonsdale Street is supposed to be paved. And when 94 next door sold about 1.5 years ago, they hooked up to the sewer in the sale. And I don't know what happened after, but once they finished the work, like a huge hole opened up next to that patch. And DPW came in and fixed it. And since that time, the road behind it has continued to deteriorate. There's kind of 2 big divots behind the patch. And then next to it, there's like a big dip forming in the road. And last week's meeting, I listened to the recording yesterday, and I thought I heard Don say that the Lonsdale's only being paved to the bend, which would not address that area. So I just maybe wanted to clarify to see if that will be addressed.
Don, are you still on?
Mary, I'll talk to Don on that, because when I talk to him, oh, he's on.
He's on.
Yeah, sorry guys, took a little while. I walked Lonsdale on Friday with Cardi. We've got it all marked out, and if I miss an area, we'll go back. You said it was 94.
Yeah, like almost
Lonsdale?
right where it intersects with Pine Orchard. Is the whole
Okay.
thing getting done? Because I thought you said just to the bend, which I was assuming was the top of the hill.
No, we've got Lonsdale's a little bit complicated. There's 3 or 4 different treatments that's going to go on Lonsdale, but there are a couple sections where we're not doing anything but crack seal. So again, I'll have to go out and just take a look at that specific request. But if it's
Yeah.
94, I'll take a look at it. I'm out of state right now. I'll be back on the August 1st, and I'll
Okay.
make sure that I get out there. All right?
Yeah, you'll see. I mean, there's a big patch there right now, and more recently, I mean, I know nothing about it, but it kind of seems like the road is sinking in because it's not cracking. It's just kind of these big divots are forming.
Okay. They probably didn't do a very good compaction job.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was perfect before they did that sewer line. I don't know what they did when they did that sewer, but it really seemed to either expose a problem or, I don't know, made a big problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary. Don, if you have any questions, you can always call DPW. His name's Don Ouellette. He's the DPW director. And like I
Okay,
said,
great.
he'll be back in town on August 1st.
Okay, I just didn't want to wait till it was paved and then say, wait a minute, you missed a
Oops.
spot.
Yeah.
Mary,
Thank
I've been
you.
waiting. I've been waiting for Don to come back also because I don't want to bother him on vacation because I get some concerns down that end of Lonsdale, where it turns to Coolis as well. So just want to make
Okay.
sure that we get it all done correctly.
Okay, thank you. I didn't want to bombard you on your first day either, so I'm glad to hear your.
Feel
You're
free to
working.
bombard me. That's what I signed up for.
Okay, great. Do you have, I looked on the town page and your email address isn't on there. Is it just like your name at West Warwick? All right. Do you have that set up yet?
It's going to be set up tomorrow.
Okay, well, I'll follow up with you just so you have my contact info.
Thank you, Mary.
Great, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
I do have another hand up in the audience. Just give me 1 second. I gotta exit full screen. Maybe not.
Yeah, I saw one too.
There it is. Yep. Pete Cottrell, just state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, councilors. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Pete Cottrell, 25 Nowicki Street. I just want to elaborate on something that was brought up earlier when the town manager had promoted Major Levine to Colonel. First of all, congratulations, Colonel. David, you had mentioned something in the town manager, Mark Knott, had mentioned hiring within the ranks of the town. There's a gentleman that I feel, let me back up. I'm under the understanding that the DPW director is retiring. Is that correct or incorrect?
Correct.
Okay. There's been a gentleman that's been within DPW for many years. He's filled that spot when Dave Lombardi was retiring, and he went through his 7 months worth of vacation time, and then the hiring process for Dave Picozzi. And then after Dave Picozzi left, the same gentleman filled that position. Waiting for Mr. Ouellette to come aboard. Has anybody considered Freddie Gill, the assistant manager for that position? I think it's time. I think he's filled that position multiple times on multiple different occasions, and putting that out for an application process, I think, to me, is a slap in the face. I think the town should look at Freddie and maybe even possibly sign, Freddie into a contract or however it's done. I think it's time Freddie gets the position that he deserves. He's done it numerous times. You guys cannot deny that. I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that or can comment on that. My second comment is I did listen to the meeting as the lady prior to me had spoke about the bond money in road surfacing. I'm going to address one that David, I know that that's a hot item. Councilman Messier may know as well. I'm in court. That road has been beat up over the course of the years. It's been beat up from the drainage project. And I think that one should also be on the list, as well as the drain that's outside that gate. They still, that gentleman that bought that property, David, I know that you spoke with him. He's still having some kind of problems with that drain over there. It still floods him out.
So if, I don't know if somebody, we have heavy rains coming tomorrow. I don't know if Don or, I'm assuming Freddie must be in charge because Don's on vacation. Can that get looked at? And can that road also be put on that list? It's not a big road. The town plows it. The town drove over it during the drainage project and so forth. So I think it's, I think it would be the right thing to do. The town is allocating all this money to pave roads is fix that. It's not a driveway as a lot of people think it is.
Which road are we talking about again, Pete? Could you repeat the name of the road?
It's Almond Court, Jay. It's actually, it looks like the driveway that went to the old Thornland property. It goes back right up to the gate where they went through the yard, the field back there. You know what I'm talking about now?
Yeah, it's off Shippey. I'm not familiar with the name of that street.
It's off of West Street. If you come in from Shippey,
behind you?
Yes, come in from behind me. Okay. And it's your first right. It looks like a driveway, but it's not a road. There's no street sign, but it's a paper road in the town. The town plows it.
All right, that's why. All right, that's why I'm not familiar with the name of the road. That's why when you said that, I'll send me an email, Pete. I'll look into it.
If you know where the old Thornland property is,
I do.
That's not a driveway. That is a town road that goes all the way to that gate to where it goes into. I forgot what the woman's last name is, but goes into where they put the drainage pipe through her property.
Yeah, send me an email, Pete. Tell me an email, and then I'll connect back with Don when he gets back into town as well.
Okay. And my third question is you it's not a question, it's more of a comment. Has anybody looked into, it was a hot item once, the Factory Street playground, that the tower, the cell tower giving off radiation. Has anybody looked into that and to see how much radiation is actually coming off that tower? I'll take that as a no.
Yeah, I honestly, I can't answer that.
I haven't looked into it.
I don't even know who would answer that.
I think we had somebody give a presentation some time ago who talked about a little bit about it, but I don't know that we've ever had any testing done.
And I hate to, be that person. Shouldn't that be looked at prior to that playground opening up? Because if I remember correctly, that gentleman said that the trees that are in front of the Civic Center are dying, and that's caused by some of the radiation coming off of that tower. And how far is the Civic Center from the playground?
Just to clarify about I can't answer the other question you asked, but the trees had an infestation with some, I don't know what kind of bug it was. So just to clarify, that was what was going on with those trees in front of the playground.
I'm not talking about the ones that are in the orchard that are on Factory Street. From what I remember, it's the trees it's the pine trees that were in front of the Civic Center. And Councilwoman Williamson is right. Somebody did give a presentation about that tower, and that point was brought up then. And I'm assuming that the playground is almost to the point of being open. And we're talking about dotting I's and crossing T's. I think that would be something to look at before that's even opened up to the public, if it's given off as much radiation as that gentleman said.
So Pete, with that being said, I think the football field, the Civic Center, and the high school are closer than the playground. So do we need to, I'm just going to ask the question, do we got to shut it all down?
I'm not saying shut it down, but if it needs to be shut down because it's I mean, I, for one, if there's that much radiation, I wouldn't want to be around it. I'm sure you wouldn't want your child or anybody else's child around it. It's just a concern. It's just a safety concern of mine. I mean, you don't have to look at it. It's just a recommendation.
No, I'm just asking because you're pointing out just the playground, but not the football field, not the Civic Center, not the high school.
Okay, then we can take it as that. We can have the ice rink, the football field, the Civic Center itself.
The houses around it. The house is all in Tanglewood. That's a question.
I don't understand how that got missed. If I'm not, maybe missed is the wrong word. I don't know how it got missed or overlooked. That's the only way to put it. That was a concern back then, and it still sticks with me. So that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. I mean, the council could choose to investigate it, or the council can choose not to. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Pete. Have a good night.
You too as well.
Any other public comment? I have another hand up. Mr. Reed, just state your name and address for the record.
Derek Reed, 62 Andrews Ave. Just a couple things. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know if I mean, I was on when the meeting started, but I don't know if I missed something or you guys missed something, but I don't think the agenda was followed properly tonight. I didn't hear the Pledge of Allegiance, I didn't hear a prayer, and I didn't hear a roll call.
That was all done before we went into executive session.
But usually you do it again when you come back out. Because
No, the meeting started at 6 p.m., the regular town council meeting, and Sarah actually had meeting called to order by town council president. The Pledge of Allegiance was done, done by Jason Licciardi. Prayer was read by Councilman Messier. Roll call was taken by town clerk. Quorum on record, then we went into executive session.
All right, I wasn't on to that.
Yeah.
Some of us
I'm just clarifying for you.
Some of us have to work past certain times. We've discussed a lot of things up on Factory Street. Part of the grant for the playground was an orchard. What's going on with the orchard?
The orchard was actually done by, I think it was Hez. And that's the trees that are off to the left. If you're looking at the playground from Factory Street, the orchard's to the left of it where the arbor is.
Yeah, literally, it was before I was done when Ed Drew was still in that's when it was put in.
My question is, we invested money. Are we maintaining it? Because it doesn't look maintained is what I'm getting at. So if money's invested into, per se, the orchard, we waste enough money in this town in the DPW department, Parks and Recs. We all know that. We've been working Sundays lately. That's time and a half, double time and a half. Why can't we go in there and take care of this orchard? The money's been invested. No comment is.
I'll refer that to Don. I'll refer that to Don Ouellette, who's on, and he's part of Parks and Rec, so he can, if he wants to comment or if he wants to say he's working on it, whatever he wants.
There's a couple of groups that have been managing that. They've actually done a decent job. It's not being maintained by the Parks Department. It is being maintained by, again, volunteer units that come in, they planted the trees, they've maintained it, and quite frankly, I think they're doing a decent job with it. It's being done by volunteers. And as far as guys working on Sunday, we have a floating schedule for a couple of employees where they work from Tuesday to Saturday, and then Tuesday to Sunday, and then they work I'm trying to remember now, but it's Saturday where they work one day, and then one guy works on Sunday. So we do have a guy that is working, and that's straight time. That's not double time or time and a half.
Thanks for clarification. I wasn't available for the meeting for the road bonds. Are sidewalks going to be part of that road bond money or no?
Currently, they are not.
So I got one on the front of my house. Well, actually, it goes between my house and my neighbor's house. That is treacherous. And when I say treacherous, you can roll your ankle in 2 seconds or even break it. Now, I'm going to tell you.
Send
No,
Send a request into the DPW and I'll take a look at it.
what I'm gonna do is, I've already seen how you put your sidewalks together, so I want mine to look good in front of my house. I'm asking the
Well,
council if I can present a price for the materials, and we come to some kind of agreement, and Reed's Landscaping will take the sidewalk out and replace it. Because if my sidewalk in the front of my house looks anything like the one on Church Street, I'll have to come home and take it out anyways.
So Derek, the town does have a program in place where you can fill out an application and submit your receipt up to $1,500.
Well, it's gonna be more than $1,500 because it goes a long ways. What I'm asking you, Dave, is if I give you a number for concrete, I don't want the labor. I give enough to the town, I give some more to the town. If I give you a price, a number for the concrete and the forms, can we come to some kind of agreement to get this done? I'll donate a portion of this, which is the labor and machinery.
So Derek, the council, unfortunately, the council cannot vote or go on with that because unfortunately it is on the agenda. But if you want to put it on the agenda, I have no problem if you want to email me, Councilman Messier, whoever, and we can have it put on the agenda for discussion, or Don Olet can meet you out there and discuss it and bring it before the council.
All right, well, we'll do one or the other. Just let me know which one you want to do. I came home tonight to find my parking lot where my business is and a portion of the road spray painted in white. I know what that means. That means, because I see it all over town, that we're going to do some patchwork. I need to know if we're going to fix the town road or we're going to fix the skirt of my parking lot, because right now it's sprayed to do a portion of my parking lot. And if we're going to do a portion of my parking lot, then the town's going to do the entire skirt of my parking lot, not just a portion. So I need to understand what's going on out there.
Don, if you can meet up with Derek when you get back.
Yeah, not a problem.
I don't want it touched until we have a discussion, because it's not an easy fix. It's not just come there with your patch machine and run it over with a truck. So I appreciate, Don, you get in touch with me when you get back. We'll discuss that in the sidewalk. The other thing is, Mr. DiFiore is supposed to be working on roads with names and roads with no names in this town. Well, I feel honored to have this discussion right now without Mr. Williamson telling me that it's in litigation. Okay? I want Noons Lane on every town map in the town of West Warwick, including the assessor's office on the desk where it was before, and then deleted with a Sharpie marker. I have 126,000 reasons I want my road on every map in this town. I don't need an investigation from Al. I don't need Al to find out if it's a road. I'll give you the Supreme Court paperwork. It's a right-of-way named Noons Lane. I would appreciate that it shows back up in the tax assessor's office along with every other map in this town. Just want to make myself clear. That's all. There's 126,000 reasons that right-of-way belongs on every map in this town. So whoever authorized the Sharpie marker to take it off of the maps and change maps was done illegally, because it's a right-of-way, and the Supreme Court of Rhode Island says so. So I would appreciate that when I go in town hall in the very near future, that I can look and see that Noons Lane is documented on town maps as a legal right-of-way 40 feet wide by 230 feet long. And that's all I get to say tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Have a good night. Any other public comment? Hearing none?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome to your first night, Mark. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Welcome, Mark.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Chief. No, you already got out.